Hey guys, it's Lewis. Welcome back to Stone 8 Problems. So, today's episode, I kind of wanted to go ahead and discuss my whole take on morality. I know this is going to be a doozy, and I am nowhere near qualified, but I think, I don't know, it's just a question that been brought to my attention for quite a while, for some time now. And by my question on morality is, a question that has been basically been asked and tried to been deciphered since the beginning of philosophy, the whole philosophical endeavor with Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. You have everybody questioning it, and this is probably a question that I will continue to dive in as my cognitive thinking continues to get optimized and as I continue to grow, obviously. But I feel like is that question really asked nowadays? And what I mean by that is, Jean-Jacques Rousseau came up with the theory that all men are born good. But it's society that makes them bad. And from my own personal experience and what I have observed, or I guess how I process my environment, I believe the complete opposite to be true. And the whole concept of good and evil, or what is good and what is bad, is obviously subjective. Evil itself is not universally acknowledged. Like it's not something that everybody has like a common understanding of what evil really is. In Eastern philosophies and Buddhism and things of that nature, evil is just plain ignorance. There really is no such thing as evil. And my question with morality is that, for the past 2,000 years, especially here in the Western world, we've obviously been living under the dynamic of Judeo-Christian moral values. And I've noticed that it really is I've seen, or I've come to understand it or interpret it as a mechanism of control. Not, well, obviously control in a variety of ways, but to the question at hand today is, has it done any good in mitigating or if anything, stifling what we really are as humans, as animals. And our real nature is to be some savage motherfuckers. We're very, there's nothing that we are not capable of when it comes to trying to attain what we want and doing whatever it takes to get there. Whether we have to murder or we have to fucking cheat, lie to get there. And there's always been this whole dynamic and this kind of basically hypocrisy or duality, which basically what the whole universe is founded on. What people always preach, and Christianity and religions, that pious men have always preached, is to be good, to love thy neighbor, to not do wrong unto others. The action that you have, the actions that you make towards towards your neighbors, is actually deemed to be more important than when you make for yourself. Now, obviously, that has its own utilities. It's made to make sure that we actually come and cooperate amongst each other and not kill each other, which has done its job. Obviously, we created civilization, we've created nations and things of that nature, so somewhat it's worked. We're not backstabbing each other. We've at least come to a thorough understanding, enough of an understanding that we can live next to each other without mainly worrying about what the fuck my neighbor's thinking, if my neighbor's thinking of robbing me or some shit. It's had its utilities. But I constantly see examples of human nature, real human nature, in my opinion, lash out against morality, lash out against the concept of good, lash out against the concept of what it is to be subservient to society, through violent means, and the list goes on and on, and you can see it nowadays every day, all the time. We're violent motherfuckers, and there's no way around it, and that's why all religions are meant to kind of, in a way, to mitigate that, and to show you that the ways of the world are evil. To be violent is evil. And yet we are violent onto each other all the time. You can even see it in video games and TV shows and animes and all this other shit. We gravitate towards things that are violent. And I believe that it is a channel which we have used in order to kind of like channel our violence, our need for violence, or to satiate, I apologize, to satiate that need of violence, to satiate that need of conflict through video games. The most popular video games are us shooting each other. Whether it be Call of Duty, whether it be Fortnite, whether it be Overwatch, whether it be whatever the fuck other game, Apex Legends and shit, people love violence. And there's a way like that really gets to us. It's a thrall, it's a thrill, We kind of like really immerse ourselves in that sort of violent world. You could see that in TV shows. People love violent TV shows, like in Narcos. Especially TV shows that fucking glorify criminals. And I'm a bit of one of those. I do like those sort of shows as well. Like Narcos, like Peaky Blinders, like Sopranos, and Game of Thrones, and like really violent motherfucking shows. And I feel like it's absolutely foolish to think that we are innately good. We're just put on with this cultural lens to be good. And what is good but to be subservient to another, to these rules. And you can, like I said, you can see that since the dawn of history. Why do you think the Colosseums and the chariot riding and the gladiator fighting and prisoners being eaten alive by lions in the Colosseums during the Roman era was so popular? That's how they won over the crowd. Governors and consuls and praetors, well, not praetors, praetors were the guards, but censors, the Pontifex Maximus, which is the highest religious person during those times, went in favor by showing violence, by satiating our violent nature. And and it's always going to be a dangerous game to play. And I believe that us are always finding a way to mitigate violence. And that's why morality is what it is. Kind of telling you, like kind of deviating you away from that innate part of our nature, that part of our cerebral cortex that is never going to go away. And that's why there's always wars. And that's why there's always conflicts. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be pessimistic or anything. I know I'm sounding pessimistic, but it's an observation I wanted to make. Are we really ever going to be able to really truly advance from this? Are we really able and actually, do we actually want a utopia where there is no violence, where there is no suffering, where there is no, inequality and things of that nature? Do we really want that? Or is it what culture, is it what your elders, is it what society has fucking instilled in your brain to want, to have this sort of ideal as the reward for going through all this your whole life? Is that really the truth, or is it just something implanted in your fucking brain? And that's another topic that could be brought into the discussion into the whole nature versus nurture, which is a rabbit hole in itself. And because I'm gonna be honest, I'm a high head, and when I go to the gym, I blast death metal and place myself in an induced self-violent trance, like a controlled violent trance, as Dorian Yates like to say. And I know not everybody works out like that, obviously. I'm a crazy motherfucker, and I am completely aware that some people work out happy. I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not depressed or something like that. Like, oh, I need a lash out. But it's what I like to be in. I like where I'm going in life, and I like the direction I am. I'm no longer just absolutely frustrated by my circumstances, things of that nature. I'm actually really optimistic and hopeful. And I'm not that frustrated individual I used to be. I've advanced as a human being, and I've evolved. But I find it so useful to place myself in that sort of primitive state, that fight or flight state, which is what stimulants and pre-workouts do anyway. Is they start activating your androgen receptors and placing a sympathetic drive, and I really do like that sympathetic drive. I like it, and I am well aware where it's coming from, and it's part of our human nature. And obviously, morality has its uses. Obviously, I'm not trying to come here and make the case that we shall be nihilistic and revert back to our human nature, because basically society is going to be eradicated if we do that. But it's just very curious of me, because we seem to always dog or villainize those who take up after Machiavelli. For example, they say Machiavelli is evil, and he's all about, taking advantage of the situation, taking advantage of others, because it was actually written after Niccolo Borgia. The Prince, was based off him, and he thought it was amazing until his father died, and he started wiping out way too many people, and they've all revolted and killed him. So, but we always follow those characteristics, or those in power follow those characteristics, while at the same time preaching unity, while at the same time preaching peace and unity and love and harmony. But we act the complete opposite. And then that goes down into another rabbit hole of us being some dualistic motherfuckers. We are never going to be that simple. Whether you want to admit it or not, we always want to do something to our advantage. When you do something good for someone, I've heard people say, "Oh, I do good unto others because I know my God is going to give it back to me in return." So you're being good from a utility standpoint. You're not doing good just for good. You're doing good because you're expecting something back. You know what I'm saying? And it's interesting because it just shows or highlights, in a sense, how shallow morality really is. How I feel like it's never going to fully envelop in our lives. I feel like it's just a lie that we continue to tell each other to make this work. To make this whole society, civilization thing work. It's a lie that we have chosen to believe. And that's why Nietzsche, to me, is a fucking prophet, because he's the one that made the statement famous that what is truth but a lie agreed upon. And you can make that case with morality. You can make that case with values, the Judeo-Christian values. Look at Christians, for God's sake, preaching love and unity and loving thy neighbor, but all I've ever fucking done is persecute. All I've ever done is persecute Jews, women, Christians themselves. The whole schism between Byzantium and the Holy Roman Empire, when the Pope dubbed Charlemagne as the Holy Roman Emperor. And there's been a beef about that. But that Bible speaks unity. That Bible speaks love thy neighbor. That Bible speaks to turn the other cheek when someone smacks you in the fucking face, or whatever the case may be. But they've definitely not practiced such things. Look at the Spanish Inquisition. Look how they acted upon, the Native Americans here on our side, our ancestors, if you're Latin American. How so much of our history has been wiped out by them in the name of their God. In the name of, this is not our God, so it must be Satan's word, let's burn everything down. How many people were enslaved in the name of God? How many people were put to the torch? Or basically given an ultimatum that, if either you accept our God as your own, or we crucify you and your whole fucking family right now. And people don't seem to remember that, or people don't not remember, but people don't seem to take that into consideration. That the God that you pray to is a God of your former masters. It was a God that was used to justify the eradication of a whole fucking civilization. The Incas are gone. The Mayans are gone. 90% of the Native Americans were wiped out. A lot of it was due to plague. I heard a story of a motherfucker like a cough, and everyone got killed. So it's just interesting how we always seem to practice the complete opposite of what we preach, and that's what led to me to believe that maybe morality is just a control mechanism. It's a way of making sure that not all of us act that way. Only a certain few. Only the certain few perceive it and only the few are able to understand it. And those are the ones that take advantage of the situation, because most people are stupid as fuck, and they're ignorant, and they're so desperate to escape suffering. They're so desperate to escape the way of life that the strong does have control of the weak. And that's how it's always been, and that's how it's always going to be. It's the call of the wild, the way of the world. If I'm stronger than you, I'm gonna take over you. What nation has not been made by conquest? By raping and pillaging and wiping out people who oppose you. Every nation has been founded that way. No nation has been founded peacefully. And no nation gets absorbed peacefully. I think there's only been like very, very rare occurrences. And I saw like a fucking post on Instagram that historians put all the histories of known, like all the years of known history and all the documentations and the literature, out of the thousands and thousands, like the tens of thousands of years of known history that we have, we only had 8 years. We've only had 8 years of peace. No battles, no wars, no nothing. We are born for violence. We are born for conflict. What do we do with that? Do we embrace it? Well, embrace it would be probably a bad idea. But to be well aware of it, I feel like it is the most conducive course. And to be well aware that morality and values and all this shit is just a way of you like lying to yourself from what you really are. And then also hating yourself, to be quite honest with you, because everything that morality villainizes is who you are. A proudful, willingful, emotional creature. And now it's all bad, according to moral values, because they want us to be like sheep. Follow the leaders. And the leaders are the only ones that are going to be able to breach the rules. That's literally how it's been. That's how it's always been. That's why they always need justification for an invasion. That's why they always need justification to start a war. When most of the time it's just for resources. Or they felt that they had enough resources to take over. But there always needs to be a justification to get the public behind you. You don't want the public revolting like they did in Vietnam. Which I'm pretty sure a lot of people could tell by now that it was not to stifle communism. It was to make sure that the heroin trade was alive and well. Why do you think heroin blew off after the Vietnam War? So, I'll dive into this content another time, because I feel like I could go on forever, and I don't want to. I'm well aware also that, attention span seems to be dwindling by the day, unfortunately. So, I'll leave you guys with that little rabbit hole. Hopefully you have fun with it. And if you have any questions or you want to have a discussion with me, feel free to do so. Through Instagram or through my comment section or whatever the fuck. If you have my phone number, obviously, my friend, you can go ahead and do that. So, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Obviously, taking the time out of your day to watch my discussions and my little rants and shit. Please don't forget about the triumvirate. Like, comment, subscribe. Would definitely appreciate it. And hope everyone is safe. And until next time, peace.